What's good, Bully World? This is your host, Bully Talkers here. Pits, we out here in Riverside, California, Hillside. Look who I got right now, Mr. Ty Lumley. What's good, big dog?
What's up, brother?
We're going to take it back for people who might not have seen the original interview. When did you get started with the American Bully?
I think the year on my website is 2007. The first year I had a website. I don't know if I would necessarily consider them, the dogs on there, American Bullies, probably 2008. Definitely by the beginning of 2009. With and everything comes from the Midwest. Everything comes from Chicago, which with what's going on with Nationals this year, that's pretty fitting, you know.
Well, speaking on that, man, within what you say, a 7-year window, you rose up to this point where we are now.
Rose up.
But with a lot of hard work, and because one of the stories, okay, we're going to go back a little bit even before you talk about that. One of the stories where you talked about Mr. Ron Ramos, sure you a new one, man, just when you were really getting into the handling aspects of the American Bully breed.
Yeah, man. 2010, I think, at the Nationals in Atlanta, I was showing a dog that I got from Chicago, Champion Rain, and First, I would say he's the first dog I would consider to be an American Bully that I own. UKC registered, you know. And I showed him at Nationals, and Ron Ramos afterwards, I asked him afterwards, like, why am I not even getting looked at, you know? I felt like my dog was nice. He said, your dog is nice, but you're a terrible handler. Basically, you know. Not in those exact words, I can't remember the exact words, but the message was, you're fucking up. And he, then after he was kind of blunt about it and harsh about it, he offered some advice to help, you know, which I thought was super. It was super helpful for me moving forward, especially in the handler, as far as the handler and stuff. And then 2 years after that, I basically made a second living driving or traveling around handling dogs, you know, and winning. So I like to take those things. There's certain things that you always remember. There's certain things that people say to you that stick in your fucking mind. And you just remember those and you think about that shit over and over and over, and it makes you change the way you do things. It makes you reevaluate or think about things a different way.
Oh, hold up. Somebody make some noise or something. I got you, camera here. Yeah, I got you. You got me? Yeah. When we're done, because I'll just stay down here.
Yeah, you good. You go ahead. Let them know what he did today, man.
Yo, this is Ty from Double L. You know what it is. Elite Edge out here at the Bully Supremacy. Just got done winning the whole third show. A little dog named Razor's Edge, Huckleberry. Just turned a year. 2 champion wins on his way to a grand champion. That's how we do it in the Elite Edge. Shout out to Zeb's Piss for being at every show doing the footage.
Well, thank you, man. I appreciate it,
Yeah.
man. Hey, man, you've been working hard today, man. You was having it forever.
You still see me sweating, bro. It's done, man. But that's what we do. It's all about the bullies, man. It's all about coming out, taking great representations of the breed, getting titles on them, bro. That's what it's all about. That's how we take our breed to the next level.
And you've been out here handling everybody else's dog today.
I can't even bring dogs no more. I got so much fucking business.
Yeah, I hear you.
Double L Kennels, www.doublelkennels.com. Ty Double L Kennels Lumley on Facebook, or just text me 570-418-0706. Shout out to Zeb. Appreciate you.
Now, just thinking about when you first got into the American Bully, were you more lean towards the more aspects of breeding before? How did you really actually get into handling?
Wow, just handling my own dogs.
Oh, just your own dog.
And well, at first handling Rain and XL champion that I had, Cronus, and then Francesca came along and she started doing what she was doing, winning everything. And
Grand Champion Francesca.
Yeah, Grand Champion Francesca. And we started winning a lot And basically, people see you winning, especially then there weren't really a lot of handlers that were any good. There was a lot of pretenders, but there wasn't really handlers that were any good, a lot of them. And I'm not saying I was any good, but I was winning. So people started asking, people come up to your shows, hey, will you handle my dog? And I never even thought about that before. And then people started offering me money. And then I was like, well, that money can help supplement the trips that all this money that I'm dishing out as far as going to shows and showing all these dogs and putting the time in and the miles in. This could help supplement some of this cash coming out of my fucking pocket. So it was kind of like, it kind of fell into my lap. It wasn't anything that I sought out or I planned on doing. It just happened to be that I was fairly good at it. I'd catch on quick and shit.
Now, how did the whole aspect? How did you get the call to really start getting into the apprenticeship of becoming a judge with ABKC? How did that all come about?
It's I spent I think 2 years, the better part of 2 years traveling and handling, and obviously you interact with the judges and you interact with people that you learn things from. And I also spent time on my own traveling with Jamie Sweet. The story about us going to the UK. We did a bulldog registry that was just an unknown registry, but I apprenticed under her and John both, just on my own, out of my pocket to get the experience and get the knowledge about these other breeds, because I knew ABKC's, not that I planned on being whatever all breed judge like we're calling stuff now. I knew there was other breeds that we had, English Bulldog, French Bulldog, Shorty Bull, stuff like that. So I wanted to, learn American Bulldogs also. And, then when they asked me if I would like to be a judge, I thought about it for a minute, but that was the goal. That's obviously what I was working towards with all the, stuff that I was learning and really digging into, the books I was reading and the seminars you watch online and stuff like that. Especially talking to Jamie Sweet about stuff, because she's got so many years breeding, and she's been her and John both have been a judge 15 years or more. So it's it's when they asked, I said yeah, for sure. That was the goal.
Who actually approached you about judging?
Dave.
Yeah. What was it that he saw in you that said, I really want you to really focus on this at this time?
Well, it depends on who you ask. If you ask some of the keyboard warriors that we have online, it was because I was in the Elite Edge and I sucked dick really well. But I mean, in my opinion, Dave saw the work. Everybody, all the judges and stuff saw the work that I was putting in, and the miles traveled, and the dogs I was bringing in. That was super important, because I would bring dogs in that I knew were quality dogs, and everybody recognized that. I didn't like taking dogs in that I didn't really agree with them being considered. If they did win, I'd like to be proud that they're actually quality examples, instead of maybe I'm a winner by circumstance where it's the whole group's trash, including mine, and I just got the decent trash out of it. I didn't want that. I wanted to have outstanding dogs, whether it was my dogs or the dogs I handled. So everybody could see that. Everybody could see how much work I was putting in, and still put in, every day.
Now, one of the debates per se is stereotype to bullier style. What are your thoughts about that? You hear a lot of originals beginning. People say, okay, terrier style, that was what it was designed for, compared to what you see sometimes that might be on the borderline of, that edge with the more bullier style.
Yeah, we've been talking all weekend about even the original dogs a lot of them weren't super terrier style dogs,
And that was one of the big conversations over the weekend, yeah.
A lot of these new Trojan dogs we've been talking about all weekend were not terrier style dogs
looking
at all, and It's in the foundation of every fucking pedigree has. If your dog is bully, I promise somewhere it's new Trojans in there. And people, I don't know. We had a bunch of misinformation going out, but before I started judging, and in the beginning, when from people that were still involved in it, just misinformation about, American Bully being a blown up Amstaff or a blown up American Pit Bull Terrier. It was just ridiculous. I mean, it has its own look, it has its own standard, it has its own type. It should look that way, not like a blown up Amstaff. It shouldn't resemble an Amstaff. I mean, it should resemble an American Bully. We have clear cut proportions and a look that we want and that we're looking for. And it shouldn't look like a terrier. It shouldn't look like a bulldog. It should look like a fucking American Bully. And hopefully someday we'll get a ring full of American Bullies, dogs that actually look like American Bullies at first glance. Because right now if we have 10 dogs in a ring, there's 4 American Bullies, and then there's 6 pretenders, And I actually haven't judged in the United States this year, so I don't know if it's gotten better or worse over the past year, but we'll find out at Nationals. It'll be the first time I get to look at anything in a year. So coming in with a fresh slate, I'm looking forward to that.
Just speaking on that, why was it that you turned down a lot of offers to judge in the U.S. Compared to going overseas and judging? What was the reason behind it?
Well, I mean, it's a complicated answer to that. There's a lot of things going on that I don't agree with necessarily with how some of the hosts are putting these shows together and how some of the stuff is being approached from a bargain shopper standpoint. Everybody's cutting corners everywhere they can. They put a shiny wrapper on it, but really it's a turd inside that. So it's, I don't know. For me, I just needed to step back for a minute, especially with all the. It's just a little bit. Sometimes people are throwing conflict out because of the podcast and stuff, and because of the YouTube stuff, and because of the. I speak my opinion. I'm an opinionated guy. I think I have a pretty good grasp on what the fucking breed's supposed to be and what bull breeds in general are supposed to be. It's what I've been doing the past 5 years. That's all I do.
I was going to ask you about that because I was going to ask you, was that hard knowing that with the podcast, you talk about different issues. Right. You talk about the exotics and then certain movements where people are working on it to get it better, especially the interview I heard with Ife. Talking about it.
Yeah, I'm not dramatic enough though for most people. Like I'm not calling people out and making shit up and putting up funny memes about I'm not. For the most part, I'm not dramatic enough for most people. So I'm telling you, I get that all the time. Like, why aren't you, calling these guys out and this and that? Like, that's not what I'm trying to do. What I'm trying to do is put information out there for new guys coming in. If you're new to this shit and you're coming in, there's no source for you, or I shouldn't say there's no source because you've been interviewing people for a long fucking time, but there's very few sources.
No, but you took it to the direction where people can understand what goes on behind the process with the whole breeding, from a breeder's point of view.
Right,
and that's one of the reasons why I listen to the show, because it helps me to be a better interviewer, to ask certain questions that I might not would have asked before if I wouldn't have heard the podcast. And you talk about certain things with the dog, I'm like, I never really thought about that, or even asking somebody about that. That'd be interesting to see what's their perspective when it comes to something like that. Yeah, so
that's crazy you say that because we try to keep it to a conversation, like more of a conversation style podcast than an interview, But some of the questions I think of to ask the people are directly inspired from shit that I've seen, on your channel. So it's awesome that you say that because, and it's good that that's why I want more people to get involved with it. That's why I push Rob Lee to do his own podcast after he gave me the idea to do mine. Because the more people we have doing this shit, the more eyes that are on these breeds, it's better for everybody. a rising tide floats all ships. You know what I mean? Everybody that's involved with it, you know, whether it's people selling $500,000 dogs or people selling $5,000 dogs, everybody that's involved with it will benefit from the shit that we're doing. You know?
It's crazy, man. Just thinking where you started and where you came from. Did you ever think that it would get to a point where somebody say, "Hey, you need to get a passport so you can go do this dog stuff"?
We were just talking about this earlier. It's no. The simple answer is no. You know, when Jamie asked me if I wanted to go, you know, apprentice under those guys in the UK and in England when we went the first time, I was like, fuck, what? You know, of course I'm in. And I didn't really have the money to go, to be honest with you, at that time. Like, there was just some personal stuff going on, and whatever I had to do to make that happen, I was going to make that happen, just because I knew how important that would be. And that was a trip that changed how I think about life in general. You know what I mean? Not just dogs or not just showing, but life in general changed. A lot of things have changed since that trip. So after that, it just kind of sparked a monster. Like, I need to be everywhere. Everywhere these dogs are, I need to be, and you know, in the middle of it with my hands in the mix somewhere. So.
Outside the country, what's the most exciting place you've been to?
There's a couple trips that are really like super special. The UK, the England trip, the first England trip, the Philippines trip I took with Dave, William Byrne, and Dave Wilson, William Byrne, and Robert Lee. Johnny Nerva brought us all over there for, you know, one of the biggest shows in Philippines history. You know, two shows in one weekend actually. So that was super exciting, and that was also a life-changing trip. How you think, your philosophy of life itself is challenged, and then you're forced to think about it, and then you make changes from the things that you figure out about yourself from it. So, but honestly, what's most fresh in my mind is this Australia trip that I just got back from, the Sydney show down there. Unbelievable, man. Unbelievable. It's
and that was a whole different aspect for you, because you wasn't judging or showing. They
right,
called you out to. Was that because of what they heard from the podcast?
Yeah, that's the weird thing about it, is this is the first one that I was hired for. That's basically not as attached with a dog that I own, because I've been brought out. You know, at first you get brought out as a special guest with dogs you own, and you get paid and you get treated a little bit, and then as a judge, you know, you get flown all over the place and, well, you know, taken care of for the most part. This was the first time where, like, they wanted me down there because it was me from the podcast and from the YouTube stuff that we're doing, and they wanted me to MC the show. I'm like, what the? I've never even MC'd a show. I mean, as a judge, you have to be on the microphone sometimes if the show host doesn't hire an MC, which is bullshit. It's not my job. I shouldn't have to worry about that. But it was fun, man. It was once I got going, it was a natural kind of feeling. Maybe that's because I have been doing this shit for the past year and I'm a little more comfortable with it or whatever. But I don't really like that. Didn't think I would like being in the center with, you know, pretty much all eyes are on the MC until the dogs come in the ring, and then once they're out, it's all eyes back on you. You're the one responsible for keeping the show flowing smoothly and shit too. So it's like a little bit stressful at first, but so nice. Just got to walk around and you know, kind of be me and enjoy the experience of being at the first ABKC show in Australia. It was crazy.
Just thinking back, I don't know if you ever had this conversation with Earl Bowden, as far as where he took the Nationals.
Yeah.
And cause I'm quite sure that still has to play a part in your mind sometimes. Like, hey, I was on that other side handling. I might one day want to see if I can make a push to get that ultimate at ABKC Nationals. Has that ever crossed your mind? And have you ever talked to Earl about what was that experience like?
Honestly, before they asked me if I wanted to do nationals this year, I never even really. I mean, it's maybe in the back of my mind, but never really, you know, never really kind of something that I've thought was coming. It was kind of a surprise thing. But once they asked me if I wanted to, I'm like, the more I thought about it, actually at first I didn't even give them an answer. I said, let me think about it. Let me think if I want to take on that responsibility, because it's not just about judging nationals anymore. It's all the other stuff outside of the actual show that you have to deal with, all the criticism before the show, the
Who you hanging with?
yeah, or not even just that, or are you qualified to do it? And
You still getting that, even though y'all have to go through so much to be a judge with ABKC, with all the different seminars and learning that you go through?
well, the population in the community is so new. The fact that I haven't judged for a year in the U.S., people think I'm a new judge. You know what I mean? Like that's a short gap to take a break from the U.S. shows, and people are so new that they don't realize I've been judging almost 3 years, and as many shows as I can the first 2 years, and I took the jobs that I thought would have the most attendance, so I could see the most dogs possible.
So you can put your hands on
in the shortest amount of time, and going.
First show was for events, Wisconsin.
Yeah.
You and John Sweet, I was there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So as many, I wanted to try to get as much experience in the shortest amount of time as possible, and not just that, but digging into anatomy and structure and breed type. Like to me, the structure stuff is elementary shit. You know what I mean? If you don't know the basics about the structure of a dog, you're
doing from the start. Right?
You're doing from the start. That's elementary stuff. As a judge, that's elementary stuff. The stuff that a lot of people don't really understand, really comprehend, is breed type. You know what I mean? Really trying to get a grasp on that, and digging into certain authors and judges that have written articles and books and stuff about it. I post solving the mysteries of breed type. I post that book all the time. People should be reading that book a lot. But then I say that, and people maybe sometimes aren't even ready to read that, to comprehend it. Maybe they're not even there yet, because it's advanced stuff. Like really getting a grasp on breed type is advanced shit. So that's been kind of the goal. That's what I've been working on. Of all these breeds, not just the American Bully, but all these breeds. Like breed type is the most important thing. Breed type is paramount. It just is. A lot of people don't understand that. So, of course, you're gonna get criticism when you sound like the crazy guy that people don't understand what the fuck you're saying. Of course, I have no problem with that. I'm not trying to get people to like me. People don't even like themselves. Of course they're not gonna like me, because I do like myself. I accept who I am. I accept what I am and where I've come from, and I think people have a real problem with that, and that's all right with me. I have no issue. But don't expect me to have an issue because you have an issue. I don't give a fuck about you. You know what I mean? So, and I'm not trying to be arrogant about it. Sounds cocky, but I'm just so focused on what I'm doing and trying to better it. The showing, the breed, the information coming out. I'm just trying to better that the ways that I know how, and that's getting people that know what the fuck they're talking about in front of a microphone on the podcast and having a conversation about it.
What's your philosophy as far as breeding? Are you looking for the wow factor dog where can still possibly get in that show ring, or is it a mix? What's your whole philosophy as far as breeding? And your thought process behind putting the two
First
dogs
and
together?
foremost, I want dogs that stop traffic. I've said this from day one.
Day one, yeah.
I want dogs that when I pull them out, people stop and go, "What in the fuck is that?" After that, of course, we want dogs that are going to do well in the show ring. The conformation shows that are created to evaluate your future breeding stock. You know what I mean? If I'm going to be breeding this stuff in the future, of course I want it potentially to do well in the show ring. Is that the most important thing for my breeding program? It's probably tied with the traffic stop. Like, I need them first and foremost to be stop you in your tracks type of dogs. Some people call it the wow factor, but now the wow factor is attached to a whole bunch of other bullshit. I don't even want to say that anymore. You know, they're gorillas. They really are. It's a different thing. And the people that have it understand it's a different thing, you know. And I'm not saying it's better than anybody's. I'm not saying it's better or worse, because there's a lot of programs out here producing. I'm just saying my shit's different, in a good way.
Just thinking about that, what's one of the next pieces to the puzzle for you in creating that ultimate dog that you're looking for your program?
The next step is line breeding some of my stuff. Because what I've done is, in order to create something that's really yours, you can't take a whole bunch of stuff from one person, breed it, and then say it's yours. No, it's not. You're breeding their stuff. So, in my opinion, you have to have pieces from a lot of different places, put it together to create your own thing. That's your shit, you know? So for me, the first step was getting everything that I needed. Right now, I feel like I'm pretty close. I have a bunch of stuff people haven't seen yet. So some people probably don't understand what I'm talking about, but I'm pretty close to having everything that I need. So right now for me, it's going to be a line breeding, some selective inbreeding situations where I tighten my stuff up, really see what's in there and what I can get out of it, and then figure out the pieces that I still need, and we'll go from there. So far, the Bully Market collaborations and the Bent River Bully Club Company collaborations that I've done, I mean, that's really helped me in the areas that I needed help. So I'm on the right track, and I'm getting fucking close, you know.
Have you identified some of the mistakes you made? Like, oh, maybe I wouldn't have did this, or maybe I wouldn't have did that?
Yeah, I talk too fucking much, you know. I need to think about it differently even now, but that's part of growing and progressing. That's part of coming up, you know. The whole culture is about coming up. I've come up a little ways. I feel like there's a long way to go, and that's the mission that we're on. But not really. I don't really regret anything, but I would just I'd like to go back and say, hey man, shut the fuck up. Listen to a couple of these people that you're going at it with, and you might learn something, you know. But that's also a part of being successful, is being stubborn and being stuck to what you're doing and putting your head down and fucking moving forward, you know. So I'm fine with it.
Man, I want to talk about what's really going on as far as Nationals this year. Like, what's the plan? Is there functions going on, seminars, or is there straight show that weekend?
I'm not sure 100% about the details. I know I haven't been asked to do a seminar for if there is one. I'm sure I'll find out before the show starts. But I know that so far, from what I've been hearing, there's dogs going to be there from all over the world. You know, it's going to be and hopefully it's one to be remembered. I'm the first one I'm involved with, really, so hopefully it's one to be remembered. We'll see what happens. I'm just trying to, my plan is to find the best dog regardless. I don't care who's handling or who owns it or who made it.
Who's your top 5 as far as bullies, your favorites? Not talking about today, but just overall in general, just being a part of the breed.
You know, we've been asking everybody this all weekend, and I've been thinking about it. I don't know. Michelin's Bubba. That's a dog that's always going to stand out to me in my mind, because that's just the mass, the absolute fucking monster, gorilla type of dog he was, like ahead of his time. I feel like, you know, OG Juan Gotti, obviously that's the dog that really hooked me. You know, as soon as I seen the video, he come out of the backyard pulling on that leash like he was a fucking freight train, like, whoa.
That was one of my top 5. Yep.
Crunk Juice. We've been talking a lot about the lounge stuff this weekend. I remember the first time I seen Crunk Juice, I was just like, how did he get the chest on that dog so fucking deep? You know, that's what they're known for, big wide rib cages and deep chest, heavy bone and stuff. And how the fuck did he get that dog's chest so deep, you know? I end up going a different route. Life kind of takes you where it wants to sometimes, as far as like how you acquire the things you need. So I didn't go through the lounge blood to get what I was looking for, but super similar stuff. Like the lounge look super similar to what I want. You know, obviously I've got my own kind of head style and my own kind of look. You know, that's especially if you see the yard now, the consistent size and the consistent bully traits, the bone, the wide ribs, the deep chest, the muscle consistently. I'm getting this crazy. So I don't know about 4 and 5, but that's my top 3. I mean, those dogs that's an impact, you know, for me, for sure. And Michelin's blood, like I've always loved Michelin's blood, you know. If I did do a number 4, I would have to say Dax. Like, I know I'm gonna get crucified for that, but that's what the fuck I was looking for, you know.
Would you say he was a game changer for us Americans?
Whether people like to admit that shit or not, changed the whole fucking breed. You know, there's only a couple of programs left in the world that don't have any Dax incorporated into the workings. You know what I mean? Changed the whole. I feel like he changed the breed. For some things for the better, some things for the worse. Just like with any, if any stud got bred like that, Remy got bred a bunch, Juan Gotti got bred a bunch. They changed the breed at the time for the better, you know, some things, and for the worse, some things.
Just thinking about this as we're pretty much wrapping up.
Let me do a 5th.
Okay.
Maestro. And I say that because he's as close as I've got so far to what I want, to the vision I have. You know what I mean? I'm going to make a couple of little changes over the next couple of generations, but if we can keep, you know, he's going to be the foundation moving forward. If we can keep his you know, look and a lot of things about him, he's really close to what I want in the dog. Keep him functional like that and keep him just bodybuilder massive.
Because we see so many changes with the American Bully, will you, in your opinion, will you see the standards change again?
No. People don't read the standard closely enough. You know, there's been changes made, so I think for the next 3-4 years, you know, after there's going to be a couple more changes made to maybe not the American Bully, but some of the other breed standards up to 2018. But after that, it's going to be a few years. Like, we're going to really try to hone in, get more consistent what we see in the ring, get more consistent with the information that's put out there. If I have to do it all myself, that's what we're going to do. You know.
Hey man, I really appreciate your time today coming on Bully Talk with Zell Pitts, man. Enjoying this life, man, that I never imagined you'll have me traveling like this. And I haven't even got to your point yet where you actually seen all parts of the world, man, because of the American Bully.
I'm a kid that obviously I'm a grown man now, but I'm a kid that came from, you know, absolutely nowhere with no chance, really. You know, you look at the statistics and how it went down, really no chance. So to be traveling, experiencing life, doing stuff like this weekend, surreal, man. I appreciate the love. I appreciate the support. You know, you've been on the podcast, Bull-Na-Chinashop podcast twice now, maybe 3 times now, actually, with a clip at a show, I think.
Yeah.
I appreciate the support, man. It's always been nothing but respect, especially with the YouTube and the interviews from day one.
Oh man, I gotta ask you though, man. What's next for you in the bully world? Seems like you've done everything, man. From the breeding to handling to judging to emceeing, podcasts. What's something that you haven't done that you want to do yet? That's pretty much it, huh?
You know, judging nationals, obviously, that's a big check off the list. Right now, I just want to focus on getting the podcast to the highest level it can be, the YouTube to the highest level it can be. I'm still learning a lot, and I'm teaching myself everything. I'm teaching myself everything. So, you know, we're just trying to make everything as good as it can be. But I appreciate the support, brother. If you want to get more information from me, check out my YouTube channel, Bull-Na-Chinashop TV. You type in Bull-Na and the show will pop up. So check it out. Hit the subscribe button. I appreciate you, sir.
Well, it's Jose Pitts. We out.